Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Game Planet, and today I'm gonna be giving my review for a Markiplier produced film or TV show on Prime, The Edge of Sleep. I originally found out about this. This was a project I didn't know about until he made a video on his channel titled like The Plan, I think, where he was talking about what the plan was for his future projects. I knew about the Iron Lung, but I did not know about this one. So I was very intrigued to see what else he was working on, because, I'm very curious like that. And then he announced that it was coming out. It was out then when the video was, which was yesterday, so yeah. And I just finished it. Like, as I'm recording this video now, I just finished it, like, I don't know, maybe an hour ago. When this video goes up, probably a day or two later. But yeah, I thought I'd give my review of the show. So I didn't listen to the original podcast, so I have no idea about that. So I'm just going to be giving a clear-cut review based off of what I know from the show and nothing related to like an adaptation of the podcast. So the show itself, alright, let's start off with some small things. The show is it's kind of like a thriller, kind of like a what the freak show, like what the freak happened, it's very eerie thriller, bit of horror in there with some of the visuals, but not like, it's not a horror genre, I'd say, but it definitely the visuals, they work well for the most part. Same with the music, the direction, story, the actors, the acting. That's probably one of the things I'll say about this right now, is that on a lot of things it's cut in half. There's a lot of moments where it really does well, like for example the acting and the visuals, where it's like I'm watching a studio project. This is really cool, and it's good. It looks good and it feels good. But then there's moments where it's like, this kind of lower budget, and you can tell that thanks to some shots and some of the acting, where some of the acting isn't the best in terms of dialogue. But that's nobody's fault, really. That's just, this is, first of all, Markiplier, in terms of his acting ability. This is his first, project that is outside of YouTube. So this is, I give it a thumbs up. I think he did pretty good. The story is very intriguing, although the initial story set up by the description, where it's like, night guard finishes shift, finds out that everybody the night prior has died when they went to sleep. He's got to figure out what's going on. That kind of gets drowned out the further you go along, as it gets more in depth as to the whole dreaming theme of the show. And I don't know how the podcast handled it initially, but it just kind of has a different jive a bit later. And it can be a bit confusing sometimes. It's mostly straightforward, but there are a few moments that are a bit confusing. Let's see. I don't think I've been too spoilery. This probably will have spoilers in it, so I'll probably save spoiler stuff for the second half of the video. First half of the video will be non-spoilers. So talking non-spoilers, I think overall the show is great. I like the show. I very much enjoyed it. And here's the thing. This is the power that stuff like star power, studio power, whatever. Whether it's like a director an actor a studio you trust. That's the power between these projects. Because if this was a normal, Edge of Sleep, if this was just a project and Markiplier was not attached to it, I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't have come across it. Maybe I would have, one day, maybe, but not as immediately as I did. Because I knew that this was a Markiplier project, and he kind of promoted it, and due to that I was aware and I watched it and I liked it. So since we're dealing with non-spoilery stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating, and then when we get to the spoilery stuff, I'll go more in depth as to why. So my rating for the show is about probably 8.5 out of 10. You know, it was really good. There were a few low bits, but pretty solid show. Alright, now into the spoiler territory. Some of the plot stuff with, like, the elephant, the dream people, they were fine, but there were some parts where it wasn't very clear what the direction was until, like, the last 2 episodes. Which, there's only 6 episodes, and they're all, like, 20, 24 minutes. Like, around that runtime, which is very refreshing since a lot of shows that I've been watching recently are, like, 40, 45-minute episodes. So this was definitely a refreshing take. Then we get to, like, the ending. And the ending was a bit confusing, because if you don't know, and that's why this is spoilers, but in the ending, you know, you have them arrive to the safe haven. Forgot what it was called. I'll put the name on screen right there. Right there. Yeah. They find their safe haven island. You know, most of them make it, except for Katie. She dies, because of course she does. There's a fly in here. And they kind of explain what was going on, how the elephant is like an embodiment of evil, I think they were trying to go for there. And people see it very differently, depending on who they are and what they've been through. It's never really explained why he sees the elephant, why he sees, you know, the entity of the elephant, and why that is. And then it ends like, you know, they all finally get to sleep, that's the good part of the ending, you know, that's how I expected it to end. They finally get the thing, the main plot of the story. They finally get that very thing that they've been avoiding this whole time. They get that break. But then after that, that's where I'm wondering if we're gonna get more, or if we're just left in the dark. Because they did mention there was gonna be a war between these dream protectors, almost, and then this evil entity and his new army of people who have succumbed to the nightmares, I guess. Because they all awake with the red triangles in their eyes, which to me translates to he now has control over them. Which is kind of odd. Like, does that mean, are they dead? Can they be fixed? Or, like, what does it mean technically, you know? And are we getting more? Again, haven't seen the podcast, so I don't know if this goes any deeper. I did I didn't watch any or listen to any, but I did take a look at it on Spotify, and I noticed that there were 8 episodes opposed to the 6 episodes. Now, I don't know in terms of names for the episodes how consistent it was, because I kind of stopped paying attention. Although the first 2 episodes are consistent. Both the first episode and the second episodes for both the show and the podcast are the same name. So I'm wondering if there's an episode 7 and 8 out there that they might do and maybe do their own thing in a season 2. But if not, then I guess this is a pretty fine place to leave it. And as for my ranking, yeah, there were a lot of good things. You know, the visuals felt really nice in some places. The visual effects and the what's the word? The practical looks and practical design choices, you know, with the elephant and like the dream people, some of the dream aspects, very good. The acting was mostly good. Same with the story, a very solid story. The reason why it gets knocked down from a 10 to like an 8.5 is due to some of those things not being all the way there. Like, the story has some issues. Sometimes the acting can be dull. Sometimes the visuals can look bland. You know, sometimes you might just be lost in a moment. There is one thing I will say. A lot of shows do this thing where they have the filler episode, right? Where it's like, oh, we got to make this a nice round number or something, a nice collection of episodes. We need a filler to keep them connected, but it didn't feel like there was one. It felt like it just kind of all the way through. You know, it just didn't really feel like there was any filler at all. It just kind of felt like it went from beginning to end. That was the story. So, final thoughts. Really good. Not perfect, but pretty good. I'm going to go try and sleep now. Probably. In like 3 hours from now. But, yeah, that's kind of all my thoughts on it. Congratulations, Markiplier, and all the people who worked on Edge of Sleep. As I was recording this, I believe it was number 5 in the top 10. It was number 5 on Prime Video. So that, I don't know if there was a time limit for how long it had to be on the list for, but we hit the mark. I don't exactly remember what that was for, what it benefited, but I'm sure it's got to be good, right? I think that just means more stuff to come, and if that's the case, I'm all for it. If that means a season 2, I'll peep that when that comes out. But as it is right now, I'm gonna leave you guys. I will be coming back to the channel with probably more gameplay videos, more DC videos, since there's some DC news going on. I'm gonna try to finish up for the rest of the year, like just kind of finishing up some old games that I need to finish, and then maybe starting a couple new ones, but I'm not gonna be able to dive into new releases that much, which is unfortunate, but you know, it's the truth. Especially if I want to get that Switch 2 when it comes out. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you guys thought of Edge of Sleep, if you did watch it. And until next time, everybody. See ya.